The ocean at night has a way of swallowing sound. Even the hum of an aircraft engine seems to fade into the vastness below, as if the sea itself absorbs every vibration, every whisper, every trace of human presence. On the evening of April 12, 1952, that silence stretched endlessly beneath the wings of a U.S. Navy patrol aircraft, flying a routine reconnaissance mission off the eastern coast of the United States. The pilot, Lieutenant Commander John Jack Barnes, had flown this route dozens of times. He knew the rhythm of the waves, the way moonlight shimmered across the surface, the subtle shifts in wind that signaled a coming storm, but nothing in his years of training prepared him for what he was about to witness. Something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The flight had begun like any other. Barnes and his crew of 5 were conducting a standard maritime patrol, scanning for submarines, monitoring shipping lanes, and logging weather conditions. The Cold War was in full swing, and tensions in the Atlantic were high. Soviet submarines were known to lurk beneath the waves, and American patrols were tasked with keeping a constant watch. Barnes was a disciplined officer, respected by his crew, known for his calm demeanor and sharp instincts. But even he felt a strange unease that night, a subtle tension in the air that he couldn't quite explain. The sky was clear, the stars sharp and bright, the moon casting a pale glow across the water. The aircraft maintained a steady altitude of 8,000 feet as the crew monitored their instruments. Then, at 22:14 hours, the radar operator, Petty Officer Raymond Holt, noticed something unusual. A faint return appeared on the radar screen, small, indistinct, but moving. At first, Holt assumed it was a glitch, a momentary interference, but the signal grew stronger, more defined, rising from the surface of the ocean. "Sir, I've got something," Holt said, his voice tight with confusion. Barnes leaned over his shoulder, studying the screen. The object was ascending slowly at first, then with increasing speed. It wasn't a submarine surfacing. It wasn't an aircraft. It wasn't anything that matched known signatures. Barnes ordered the crew to maintain course, but prepare for visual confirmation. The aircraft banked slightly, giving the pilot a clearer view of the ocean below. At first, he saw nothing, just the endless black water stretching to the horizon. Then, a faint glow appeared beneath the surface, dim, bluish-white, like bioluminescence, but far too bright, far too concentrated. The glow expanded, pulsing rhythmically, growing larger with each passing second. Barnes felt his breath catch in his throat. The crew fell silent, staring through the windows as the light intensified. Then it broke the surface. A column of water erupted upward, illuminated from below by the glowing object. The sea churned violently, as if something massive was forcing its way upward. The aircraft shook slightly from the turbulence rising off the water. Barnes gripped the controls, steadying the plane as the crew watched in stunned disbelief. The glowing object, whatever it was, rose from the ocean in a smooth, impossibly controlled motion. It was spherical, metallic, and utterly quiet. No wings, no rotors, no visible propulsion. It's just a perfect, glowing orb ascending into the night sky. Barnes later described it as a star being born from the sea. The object hovered for a moment, suspended between the ocean and the sky, as if studying the aircraft. The glow intensified, casting long shadows across the cockpit. Holt's radar screen flickered wildly, unable to lock onto the object. The radio crackled with static. Every instrument on the panel seemed to waver, as though the aircraft itself was reacting to the presence of this impossible thing. Then, without warning, the object accelerated upward at a speed Barnes could only describe as instantaneous. One moment it was there, silent, hovering, glowing brightly. The next, it was gone, streaking into the sky faster than any aircraft known to man. The crew sat frozen, unable to speak, unable to process what they had just witnessed. The ocean below calmed, the glow fading, the waves returning to their natural rhythm like it was just another day. Barnes regained his composure and ordered the crew to log the event. Their report was detailed, precise, and consistent across all 6 witnesses. When they landed hours later, they were met by intelligence officers who immediately classified the incident. The crew was instructed not to discuss what they had seen. Their written statements were taken, sealed, and filed away. For decades, the event remained buried in military archives, dismissed as an anomaly, a radar glitch, a misidentified natural phenomenon. But Barnes never forgot. In interviews years later, after portions of the report were declassified, he spoke carefully, choosing his words with the discipline of a man who had spent his life in service. He didn't claim it was extraterrestrial. He didn't claim it was a secret weapon. He simply said it was something he could not explain, something that defied the laws of physics as he understood them. Other pilots came forward with similar stories: objects rising from the sea, glowing spheres, silent craft moving at impossible speeds. These accounts, once dismissed, began to form a pattern. The ocean is vast, mysterious, and largely unexplored. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the deepest trenches of our own planet. And yet, for centuries, sailors, fishermen, and pilots have reported strange lights beneath the waves, objects that move with intelligence and purpose. Some call them unidentified submerged objects. Others believe they are natural phenomena, misunderstood and exaggerated. But for Barnes and his crew, the memory of that night remains vivid, undeniable, etched into their minds like a scar. As the years passed, Barnes often wondered what he had witnessed. Was it a classified military craft? It's a natural event, unlike anything documented before? Or something else entirely? Something not of this world? He never found an answer. But he knew one thing for certain. Whatever rose from the sea that night was real, and it was watching. The ocean keeps its secrets well, but every so often something breaks the surface, something that reminds us how little we truly understand. Barnes' encounter is one of those moments, a glimpse into the unknown, a reminder that the world is far stranger than we imagine. And somewhere beneath the waves, perhaps even now, something waits. If you'd like us to keep uncovering real, unexplained stories like this one, you can support the channel with a like and a subscription. There's so much more left to discover.